characterize it as just a really positive discussion. I think we from the start, Kyle and I have committed. I was a player once, and you just want to be honest. You want people to be honest with you, and so we committed to doing that. We also committed to, what we talked about remaining between us, and so I do think that there's some things that are sacred. We had a great discussion, and I think Colin left excited. We left excited. Very much enjoyed being around Colin, and he seems like he's in a real good place.
That voice was new 49ers GM John Lynch saying he and new head coach Kyle Shanahan had a very positive discussion with Colin, and Keaperinck left the meeting excited. Cap can void the contract 7 days before the start of the season and become a free agent. Meanwhile, the bus is in the building. The Hall of Famer Jerome Bettis. It has been too long. Good to see you.
Thanks.
I'm going to start with you here, though, Will. Should the 49ers give Colin another shot?
No. I mean, what's the point? Why would you do that? What are you hoping to? What's your upside? Like
he had a good game against the Jets.
And some people point out that his statistics were better than you might suspect when he's in the pocket. But I mean, this is a simple gambling equation. Like, you buy back in on Colin Keaperinck. What do you hope to hit, Max? I mean, what is the upside on this? This is a complete. Well, hold on. This is a complete reboot of a franchise. You need to start over. You need to build for the future. Is there any chance that Colin Keaperinck is your future quarterback 3 years down the road? Is there any chance that this is the guy you build your franchise around for the next 5 to 10 years? The answer has got to be unequivocally no. So why go back in on him for one more year?
It's equivocally no. First of all, are the Niners ready to compete now? No. They have a ton of holes they need to fill. In fact, they should trade down in the draft to restock the roster. So right now, the quarterback in certain ways is a tackling dummy. Like when people said, where could Jay Cutler wind up? I thought, well, I don't know, maybe if you don't have to give up much for him or pay much for him, maybe the 49ers. They're not very good right now, and just get a competent quarterback. Colin Keaperinck was one Richard Sherman play away from going to back-to-back Super Bowls. Jaws, on this network, said at one point he has a chance to be the best who ever did it. So what's the upside for Colin Keaperinck? Now, look, those predictions he fell short, obviously, those predictions, and he's not an elite quarterback and all that. But at one point, he was seen as a guy who, if he wasn't already there, was on his way. And, again, one Richard Sherman play away from going to back-to-back Super Bowls. What's the upside? The upside is very, very high, in fact, because we've already seen him do it. How did he play last year? Not bad. Is it a huge commitment in years or dollars or resources to him? No. Do you need to win right now? No. Does he have a familiarity with the organization and roots now in the area? Yeah. I mean, there's actually very little downside in Colin Keaperinck, but there is some upside, and even if there weren't, they are a ways away from needing to worry about getting quarterback right in San Francisco.
So, Max, it's hard for me to say this, that I agree with you, but I actually do agree with you in terms of there is tremendous upside. And you said it earlier. You said the quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers is going to be a tackling dummy. So understanding that, you have to understand, now Kyle Shanahan is going to be the head coach. Now he's familiar with a lot of different types of offenses, right? So now what he has to do is, one, assess his team and see that, we can't do the things that we did in Atlanta. The best chance that we have to have success now is to go more like maybe the Redskins offense when I had RG3. So you know what? Maybe Colin Kaepernick is my best offense right now until I can bring in the players that I need to now move toward more of an Atlanta Falcons style offense. You can't have that offense if you don't have the speed, you don't have the size, you don't have the players at those key positions, the multiple running backs, the multiple receivers. They don't have that in San Francisco. So now he has to understand, I can't just go out there and still try to run this system with no players. I will have zero success. So now I need to find a way to bridge that time from right now to where I want to get to. And Colin Kaepernick can be that player because he brings offense in and of himself, his ability to run and throw with the football. We've seen him do it, like Max, like you said, we've seen him do it. We know that he's capable of doing this. So now you need to put him in the best possible position to be successful. Now, can that offensive line, can everyone on that team, can they be successful in that type of offense? Well, we've seen them in that type of offense. We know that they're capable of doing it. Now, can they sustain that? And is Colin Kaepernick the player that he was, 3, 4, 5 years ago? That is the question I believe we have. But I believe you have to say yes. You have to.
If you look at the calendar,
you have to say he's capable of doing that.
Physical prime.
Absolutely.
And one of the problems with Keaperinck, Will, is that he was already so good and showed so much promise that there was a constant tinkering, making him even better in certain respects. And he took a step back. And, of course, Harbaugh leaving doesn't help. But I think people have come to the realization, hey, if he could just be what he was, that's plenty.
But he's not.
Even if he's not what he was, he's okay. He doesn't cost you anything right now.
Okay, so first of all, I'm listening to you guys. That's about to reveal itself in my rebuttal to you. First of all, you retained the hope that he can be something he was 3 years ago. That's your potential upside. I think that is more than rosy. I think that's more than hopeful, and I think you know it. I think that he was 29th in QBR this year, and you both characterized him as, or the quarterback for the 49ers, as a tackling dummy, something he, I guess, would fit perfectly. So let's submit that I think your potential is a little bit of a stretch. If you're going to have a tackling dummy, answer this honestly, whether or not you side with Colin Kaepernick on his protests over the last year or you found it something unappealing, do you think the net public relations effect on the 49ers was a positive? From a public relations standpoint, do they want to do that again?
I don't believe they have to do that again.
In that neck of the woods, I don't know if it hurt them.
I don't think they have to do that again.
That's true,
this is past that stage. They're on the other side of this issue. It's not still on the forefront every single day in the papers, or is that the leading story? I don't believe
we'll see next season, but I don't think you want your tackling dummy with a tenuous upside and a potential PR downside when you have other options. There's Jay Cutler that's going to be floated out there. Hey, by the way, RG3, your RG3, he might be out there. So if Kyle Shanahan wants to run that again, he might have the exact guy.
Also debatable
if you put all these guys in there with in their tackling dummies, none of them can stand up.
Including Keaperinck.
All right.
I think he can.
It's debatable if AD still got it, too. And we are now just 2 weeks away before the March 9th deadline for the Vikings to decide whether to pick up the $18 million option for Adrian Peterson. Vikings GM Rick Spielman says he hasn't decided what the team will do. Max, I'd be very excited if the Giants got him. I don't know about you, but that is not the question. How much does Peterson have left in the tank?
I don't think Adrian Peterson. I think Adrian Peterson is gone, never to return. And Bus, you and I argued about this in the beginning of the season. And when I talk about the cliff, even for Tom Brady or any player, when they hit a certain age, and a lot of times I'll hear, oh yeah, because had he not gotten hurt, but that's part of it. It's an extremely violent sport, and as one ages, their tendons have become, more brittle and all those kind of things. And they're more injury prone. And just exposure to the NFL makes you more likely to be hurt. But the two things compound, and that's why, especially at the running back position, you see very few past the age of 30 who are really good. Adrian Peterson is such a physical freak. I mean, he's come back from injuries most other humans can't, way ahead of time. And so I think he can still be an effective NFL player. But I think the idea that we're going to see a prime Adrian Peterson, meaning one of either the best back in the league or one of the best handful of backs in the league, those days are gone, and therefore you don't pay $20 million for that.
Jerome,
Max, first of all, I've come to realize now that you are the guy that is a pessimist.
Hates old people.
All people, not old people, but you hate like anybody that I heard you say Paul George is going to be done in a couple of years. I mean,
no, I didn't say that. Mistaken.
When the conversation
I said Paul George
got
Magic
there,
Johnson.
You said if you give him a long contract, he's only got 2 years left or something.
Yes, you don't give. Listen,
I mean, he's a young player. He's not even 28 years old.
Don't do Paul George. Get him on Peterson.
So anyway, with Peterson, what you have to look at when you look at Hall of Fame running backs, and I'll say this again. 3,000 carries is at the very least the number of carries that they start to really go downward. He's only at 2,400 carries, so he's got minimum of 2 really, really good years left in him as a running back. So anybody who gets him,
just come to the New York Giants.
He has, I think,
but
he has.
Early in the season, you told me he's still elite. He's as good as anyone.
Absolutely.
Are you backing off that?
I'm not backing off
Still.
that. Not at all. I think
But
2 years,
do you-
2 seasons. He's got 2 big seasons still left
Do
in
you
him.
see those 2 seasons on the Vikings?
I don't see him on the Vikings because the Vikings, they don't have the offensive line that they need for him to have success. If he goes somewhere where they can throw the football, I would love to see him in Detroit. Obviously, that'd be a hard sell.
Homer.
But if I'm a homer. If he got to Detroit, if he got to the Giants, I think he would have success.
Seattle.
Anywhere where they have the passing game intact and somewhat of a solid offensive line, I think he can have a tremendous season.
We'll leave it.
By the way, the physical prime of an athlete, and this goes across sports, is younger than people assume it is. So when you see a 27 or 8-year-old basketball player, you got to start looking at the clock. It's just the way it is.
Your problem is
particularly if
Someone's going to defy odds.
straight out of high
you
school.
keep-
The problem
And a
is, Max, you
30-year-old
speed
running
up the
back,
clock, Max.
careful.
You just got the clock on fast, man. Slow down.
Now, he turns superstars into averages. That's
Yes,
He doesn't see
yes.
superstars
Well,
as anything but statistics
Because
on a
right.
spreadsheet.
Well, you can average the superstars,
the
too.
superstar, he goes above and beyond the normal player. That's what you got to
All right.
understand.
Like you, the Hall of
Yeah,
Famer,
I'm
Jerome
averaging
Bettis. Good to see you.
superstars.
We will see you and Jamie and Woody later on NFL Live. Looking forward to that. Speaking of cliffs, Max Kellerman, Tom Brady, he was on one literally. The man has no fear. Yesterday posting this video of himself crashing after going over a jump on skis. Should the Patriots have a problem with his daredevil ways? And should he be taking some flack for this? We'll debate that next.
Quiero todo contigo sin ti.